The oppressive silence of my small, one-bedroom apartment in the crumbling tenement on Pine Street pressed down upon me, a tangible weight. It was a Saturday, the supposed respite from the soul-crushing drudgery of my work at the Muscatomic Antiquarian Society, yet even here, in my supposed sanctuary, a gnawing unease persisted. The week had been a miasma of arcane texts, unsettling glyphs, and the pervasive scent of aged parchment, leaving me drained, a husk of my former self. I sought the oblivion of sleep, hoping to escape the lingering shadows of forgotten lore. At 9 o'clock, I crawled beneath the threadbare covers of my bed, the faint hum of the ancient refrigerator, a constant, low thrum, the only sound in the suffocating stillness. My eyelids grew heavy, and I succumbed to the embrace of slumber, a descent into a realm where the boundaries of reality blurred and the whispers of the unseen echoed in the hollows of my mind. My dreams, normally a refuge, became a grotesque tableau, a distorted reflection of the unsettling texts I had spent the week deciphering. Grotesque geometries twisted and writhed, ancient symbols pulsed with an unholy light, and the faces of forgotten gods, their visages a mockery of human form, leered from the shadows. I was trapped, a marionette in a nightmarish play, unable to break free from the suffocating grip of my slumber. The weight of the dream pressed upon me, a suffocating blanket of dread. I struggled against the unseen forces that held me captive, but my limbs remained leaden, my voice a strangled whisper lost in the echoing void of my mind. The sensation was akin to being submerged in a viscous, black ichor, a substance that clung to my very essence, threatening to drown me in its abyssal depths. Then, a sudden, jarring jolt. I awoke, gasping for air, my heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. The darkness outside my window was absolute, a void that seemed to consume the very light of the street lamps. With trembling hands, I reached for my phone, its cold, smooth surface a stark contrast to the clammy sweat that slicked my skin. 3:33 a.m. The witching hour, a time whispered about in hushed tones in the dusty tomes I studied, a time when the veil between worlds thinned, and the unseen things stirred in the darkness. As my eyes adjusted to the gloom, a chilling realization washed over me. There, in the dim periphery of my vision, stood another bed, an exact replica of my own. It was a stark, incongruous presence in my cramped apartment, a violation of the familiar geometry of my room. I blinked, my eyes burning with fatigue and fear, but the bed remained, a silent, malevolent sentinel. It was not merely the presence of the bed itself that filled me with a primal terror, but the figure that lay beneath the pristine white sheet. The still, unmoving form, its contours hidden beneath the fabric, radiated an aura of unnatural stillness, a chilling absence of life. The sheet, pulled up over the figure's head, concealed its face, leaving me to grapple with the terrifying unknown. A cold sweat slicked my palms, and my breath hitched in my throat. Who was it? How had they entered my apartment? The questions clawed at my sanity, their answers lost in the labyrinthine depths of my fear. I knew, with a certainty that chilled me to the bone, that this was no ordinary intruder. This was something other. I moved with a slow, deliberate caution, my limbs heavy with dread, my senses heightened to an almost unbearable degree. The floorboards creaked beneath my bare feet, each sound amplified in the suffocating silence of the room. I reached for the light switch, my fingers trembling so violently that I fumbled in the darkness. When the harsh glare of the overhead light flooded the room, the figure remained motionless, its form still concealed beneath the sheet. The light revealed the sheet's unsettling details. Its age, its thin, almost translucent fabric, the faint brownish stains that marred its pristine surface. I approached the bed, my heart pounding a frantic rhythm against my ribs, my eyes fixed on the still form beneath the sheet. The fabric, stretched taut over the figure's body, revealed the contours of its form, but the face remained hidden, a blank canvas of terrifying anonymity. As my fingers brushed against the cold, smooth fabric of the sheet, the figure moved. A jolt of pure, unadulterated terror ripped through me, sending me stumbling back. The figure sat up, its movements slow and deliberate, the sheet still concealing its form. It turned its head towards me, and I felt the weight of its unseen gaze, a chilling, penetrating stare that seemed to pierce the very depths of my soul. I was frozen, a statue carved from fear, my voice trapped in the icy grip of terror. The figure rose, its form towering over me, its movements imbued with an unnatural grace. The sheet, draped around its form, billowed and swayed, revealing glimpses of its elongated, inhuman silhouette. "Who are you?" I whispered, my voice a mere rasp, a desperate plea lost in the suffocating silence of the room. The figure did not respond, its silence more terrifying than any scream. It stood there, an enigmatic presence, its unseen eyes fixed upon me, radiating an aura of ancient, unknowable power. I retreated, my back pressed against the wall, my eyes never leaving the figure's form. I knew I had to escape, to flee from this unholy presence that had invaded my sanctuary. I turned and fled, my feet pounding against the floorboards, my hands fumbling with the lock of the door. The figure's footsteps echoed behind me, slow and deliberate, a chilling cadence that resonated in the hollows of my fear. I stumbled through the door, slamming it shut behind me, the sound echoing through the empty hallway. I didn't stop running until I reached the street, the cool night air a stark contrast to the suffocating dread that clung to me like a shroud. I leaned against the brick wall of the tenement, gasping for breath, my mind reeling with the terrifying events of the night. Who was that figure? How had it entered my apartment? What unholy purpose did it serve? The questions swirled in my mind, their answers lost in the labyrinthine depths of the unknown. I called the police, my voice trembling as I recounted the night's events. The officers arrived, their faces etched with concern, their eyes filled with a skeptical disbelief. They searched my apartment, their flashlights cutting through the darkness, their voices echoing in the empty rooms. When they emerged, their faces were grim. "There's no one in there," one of them said, his voice flat and devoid of emotion. "We checked every room. Are you sure you weren't dreaming?" I knew what I had seen. The figure's presence burned into my memory with an indelible clarity. But I didn't argue. I thanked the officers, their departure leaving me alone in the desolate street, the silence broken only by the distant hum of the city. I returned to my apartment, my footsteps heavy with dread, my senses heightened to an almost unbearable degree. The extra bed was gone, vanished without a trace, leaving behind only the lingering chill of its presence. The apartment was as it had been before I went to sleep, a sterile, empty space devoid of any sign of the unholy visitor. I checked the doors and windows, their locks still intact, their seals unbroken. The realization that the figure had vanished without a trace, leaving no physical evidence of its presence, sent a shiver down my spine. This was no ordinary intruder, no flesh and blood being. This was something else, something ancient and unknowable, something that defied the laws of nature and the boundaries of reality. I spent the rest of the night on the couch, the lights blazing, the shadows dancing in the corners of my vision. The experience left me shaken, my sanity frayed at the edges. I moved to a new apartment soon after, hoping to escape the lingering dread, but the memory of the figure in the white sheet remained, a chilling reminder of the unseen horrors that lurk in the shadows, waiting for the unwary. And sometimes, late at night, I still feel the weight of its unseen gaze, the chilling sensation that I am being watched, that the figure in the white sheet will return, to claim me for its own.